What's up, everyone? What's up? What's up? Rusty, my brother. How are you, Dennis? Welcome, welcome, Richard. Good to see you again. What's going on? We got MA in Tacoma. Welcome, welcome. Jeff is here. Happy Friday back at everybody. James from Syracuse. Bob from Denver. Staying out of the snow. Danny from Arkansas. John, good to see you. All right. Excellent, excellent. Thanks for joining. Another Friday night. HH, good to see you. Hello from Helena. What's up? What's up? I'm going to do a little rhythm styles exploration tonight. Andy from Florida, what's up? Good to see you. I had to do a last minute edit to the PDF. Found some mistakes, as always, par for the course for me. I did paint the studio, Richard. You haven't been here in a while. It's been a while. So please expand the description and check out the link to the tabs for tonight. And if you did this earlier, you probably might want to redo it because there were some errors posted earlier. But I fixed them real quick. And hopefully that was all the errors. But you know, with me, something always seems to fall through the cracks. So I do my best here. All right. Who else we got here? MKA Melt. What's up? Terry. Hello, back at you. Jim Gregory, of course. Arthur, all right. He's almost home and ready to dig in. Excellent. And hello, Helena Haggy. Welcome. Thanks for joining, everybody. Get your tabs, expand the description. Go through just some musical examples, different styles. The goal with these sessions is just to get you to stumble across maybe some things that you've never seen before, things you never tried, hopefully spark some inspiration, and want you to kind of explore further in your practice throughout the week. Igor, what's up? Mexico City. Good to see you. All right, so we're going to have a look at the first exercise, which is sort of could be applied to many genres. And but really what I sort of devised here a little bit is some triad practice, specifically the major and minor triad shapes on the top three strings. It's for you. What's up? Montreal was warm today. Excellent. Yes, Nashville was warm today too. A little bit rainy, but warm. So all good. Hopefully out of the deep freeze down in the south. So we're going to look at triad shapes for major and minor chords, top three strings. And I can't overemphasize the importance of being familiar with these shapes. And this exercise plays sort of the same chord progression, 4 chords, all the way up the neck in different shapes. And I'm also using a plucking rhythm. So I'm not going to use my pick, although we could do that. And but first I'm going to just start with my thumb, index, and middle finger on the top 3 strings. So I got the thumb on the G string, first finger on the second string, and middle finger on the top string. Okay, and we're going to start off with barring down on the 3rd fret. Okay, police style, I like it. And this is a G minor triad. Okay, I've got the G note on the top string. I've got the 5th on the B string of the minor 3rd, which is B flat, on the G string 3rd fret. Okay? And so we're going to get used to this plucking rhythm where we're just doing straight 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's the idea. You could also have the pick and do the G string and then just add the middle and the ring finger on the top 2 strings. You can kind of see this a little bit. Okay. With that shot right there. We need like a second and third camera setup here for those kind of close-ups. Tian, what's up from Vietnam? Welcome again. Good to see you. All right, so as you can see, we're going to pluck that G minor a total of 3 times. So on the and of 2, we're going to add another note. It's going to be the 4th fret of the B string. And now, if you recognize this, this is like your D shape up 1 fret. So this gives you an E flat major triad. So we're going from G minor to E flat major. Now the tricky part is that the chord change is on the and of 2. So you got to sort of be thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that first bar. Okay. A little bit faster. It's kind of the idea. Next chord is a B flat. We're going to come up here, 7th fret of the G, 6th fret of the top 2 strings. And if you recognize that, this would be a B flat major bar chord, root 6, right? The root's on the low string. But if you just play with the top 3 notes, that's a B flat major chord, just 3 notes, a triad. Okay, once again, I got the B flat on top, the 5th on the B string, major 3rd this time on the G string. So that's that shape. And then the F chord is coming down with that D shape again, but this time at the 5th fret of the G and high E string, 6th fret of the B. So that bar is going to go. So I think you'll really sort of hear the sound of this chord progression. It's a really common chord progression. Okay. Or if you use your pick here, maybe dig in a little bit. Okay. Now, simply what I'm doing for the rest of this exercise is taking that same chord progression, but moving up the neck into different inversions of those triad shapes. Okay. So I'm going back to G minor, and the next shape of G minor is the 7th fret of the G, 8th fret of the B, 6th fret of the high string. Thank you, Rusty. I appreciate it. So this is your minor triad shape with the root on the B string this time. Okay, so I've got the root on the B string, the 5th is down below, and the minor 3rd up top. Okay, so now we're going to have some different shapes in this area of the neck as we go through the same chord progression. King 50, what's up? Northern Nevada, good to see you. Okay, once again, 3 picks on that, 3 plucks. And then I'm going to keep the 6th fret of the high string, but then go to 8th fret of both the G and B string. Okay, that gives me my E flat triad, and there's my E flat note on the G string. So this goes root, major 3rd, 5th up top. Osman, what's up? Good you're joining us tonight. It's been a bit, huh? Good to see you. All right. So here we go. All right, next bar, B flat. We're going to come up a little bit and grab that D shape once again, this time applied to the B flat chord. So I've got B flat is the 11th fret of the B string. Major 3rd is up top, 10th fret of the high E, and the 11th fret of the G string is the 5th. Okay, going from there to the F chord. And again, it's this major triad shape. This time, 10th fret of the G and B, 8th fret of the high string gives me an F major. So putting that together. Right? Final set, last 2 bars of this exercise. Now I've got a different minor triad shape, 12, 11, and 10 on the G, B, and high E string. Okay? It's G minor, going to the E flat chord, which is going to be 12, 11, 11 on the G, B, and high E string. So just... Okay? And then finally up top here, B flat is going to be the 15th fret of the G and B string, 13th fret of the high string. and then the F major, 14, 13, 13. And then you could end it off up an octave from where we started, right? It's a 12 fret difference right there, okay? So these are the same notes an octave higher, just go up 12 frets. So I'm starting on the 3rd, I add 12, I end up on the 15th, right? Hybrid picking, yeah, Osman, you can, this is up to you, okay? First of all, you can use all fingers, right? You can go thumb, index, middle on the top 3 strings. Okay. Or you can hybrid pick it. So I've got the pick and then I'm using the middle and ring fingers for the top 2 strings, right? And I was showing that earlier, like that. Okay. So if you put this whole thing together, you're going to cycle through major and minor triad shapes on the top 3 strings as you go all the way up the neck. Okay. So. Right? That's the idea with that one. Okay? I'm out. Come on, Rusty, just go a bar at a time, man. That's all I'm asking. Just go a bar at a time. And if you work on a bar for a day or two and then get a little more comfortable with that, move on to the next bar for a day or two, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It all adds up, man. Okay? So don't let it overwhelm you. Okay? Go slow with this stuff. Go slow with it. Take it a chunk at a time. What I'm trying to show you is that you can play the same chord progression using smaller chord shapes and move up and down the neck freely, right? And that creates a texture, right? The more that every time I'm kind of moving up the neck, it sort of ups the tension a little bit, right? So you can think musically about it a little bit. Some of the other things you can take away from this, okay? D, G, and B strings have different triad shapes, and we've talked a lot about this in my guitar workouts, other sessions, okay, which are all on the channel, by the way, all archived. You can check them out on YouTube. But there's different shapes on this string set and on this string set, which are equally as important, or as I suggest to you, super useful to know, right? And so you can take this exercise and figure out those, play the same chord progression, right? And play it on a different string set and find out where all those shapes are. Try it in a different key, same chord progression, right? So expand upon it. Don't just learn it and move on to the next one. You know, stew with it a little bit and try to get as much as you can, squeeze as much as you can out of it, right? Okay. Everybody doing good? Cheers, it's Friday, right? I got you, Rusty. Hey, listen, I appreciate you being here and engaging on the comments, Rusty. Thank you so much. All right. Exercise 2, a little bit of an R&B kind of rhythm using some richer sort of 7th chords, extended 7th chords kind of thing. So I'm going to play through it first and we'll sort of break it down a little bit. I think it goes something like this. So kind of a cool chord progression, starting with some root 6 7th chord shapes, okay? So first chord is an A major 7, okay? That's the 5th fret of the low string, which is the A note. I'm curling my finger to mute the 5th string, okay? Grabbing the 6th fret with my ring and pinky, 6th fret of the D and G, and then you got to work your middle finger into the 5th fret of the B string. And so the 5th string and the 1st string, the high E string, those need to be muted. We don't want to hear those, okay? And then those X's mean that I'm doing a muted strum, okay? And this is a very R&B approach, particularly on the second and fourth beat of each bar, which are known as the backbeat. And that is a very common move in R&B, soul kind of music like that. Right? So if you look at the rhythm above the tab, I've got a quarter note. So that's going to be for the 1, right? 1, 2. Okay, so on the second beat, I've got that muted strum. And then that's tied to, we've got 1 flag on top tied to the next one, which is back strumming the chord. So that's an 8th note. So that's the and of 2. So 1 and 2 and, okay? Third beat is a full quarter note. It doesn't have a flag on it, so we're going to let that ring out again over the third beat. And then the fourth beat is a mute. So it's 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay. Now, how do we do these muted strums? Right? And so what I'm doing is I'm lifting off the chord right before I'm going to strum the strings, but I'm still holding the strings, right? I'm muting the strings. I've got my fingers in position to just press down onto the chord, but when I release it, I'm still on top of the strings so that nothing rings out. So that's the key. You want that nice, sharp, percussive, muted strum. Okay. And we're going to have another example later on in this session where we're going to go even further with this. But for right now, okay, that's what we're going for. And it's a little bit of a specific rhythm. So, all right, next bar. F minor 7. Okay, so can we let the open E ring out on that chord? Well, it works out for this particular chord, the A major 7, that there is an E in that chord. So even though I didn't tab it out, yes, you can actually do that. But buyer beware. If you transpose this, or if it's the same chord shape but somewhere else, like for example, B, that kind of clashes, right? Okay, so we want to mute the high E string in the case of B major 7, right? That sort of is not the intended sound of the chord. It just turns out A major 7, that it's ringing out. It's part of the chord, so it's not going to be a problem. All right, Rusty, got a looper pedal from Amazon. There you go. Cool, man. That's fun. Right on, man. All right, so the second bar, we're going to move down to the second fret. And it's second fret of all the strings except for the A string. So you might recognize an F minor 7, the full bar chord would add the 4th fret on the A string. But a really popular way to play this is to just forget about that low 5th. So forget about the A string and just use one finger on the low string and then use another finger to bar down up top. And I'm curling my finger to mute that A string. Okay, so that's F sharp minor 7. Next bar, G sharp minor 7. So I'm just moving it up 2 frets, exact same shape. Okay. Last bar, got one of these piano chord situations. Okay, sounds pretty cool, but it's got a little bit of a tension to it. So here's a B major triad right here, barring down on the 4th fret, D, G, and the B string. Okay. Now, if I add a C sharp note to that, you can hear that it's sort of a floaty kind of chord, a little bit tense. It's an in-between chord, right? It's a tweener. So the way that it's named on the tab is the piano slash chord kind of format, where you've got the upper chord, which is B major, slash C sharp, which means C sharp in the bass. So we've got B major triad, add a lower C sharp note onto the bass. Okay, that's what that chord is. Okay. Mute it, back to the F sharp minor. And these are just quarter notes. So I've got the F sharp minor and then the B major. Okay. Root 5, B major. Just loop that, right? Rather than a muted strum, can I just release the fretted string as a rest? Yeah, you could probably do that. Okay, that sounds nice too, James. The point of it, though, is that in R&B, and particularly this song that I was sort of modeling this after, which is actually a song that I'm going to be filming next week for Guitar Tricks, which is a song called "You Make Me Feel Brand New" by the Stylistics. It's sort of an R&B ballad, right? And there are guitars in this song that are simply just 1, 2, 3, 4, not even playing any chords, but they're helping that snare drum out, right? It almost like the guitar becomes a drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's a real hallmark of R&B type guitar playing, right? Yeah, 70s, right? So this is part of the exercise, is to try and get that second beat and that fourth beat, those muted strums in there, okay? Because right? That's sort of the sound of that R&B kind of thing. All right. Excellent. All right, Richard, down with it. Cool, cool, cool. All right, thought we'd throw in a little rock exercise now. You're welcome, James. Okay. Exercise 3, palm muting riff. Okay, so what we've got are power chords with the root on the 5th string or the A string. Okay, I'm going to start with an E power chord, 7th fret of the A, 9th fret of the D and G. So I've got a root, 5th, and then the higher octave of the root. Common way to play a power chord. Okay. Now, I'm going to move this a little bit. Okay. Try this for a bit. Okay. So, that's sort of what we're going for, okay? I'm going to actually play through this and then we'll break it down. Okay? And if you were to get this up to speed, it might sound something like this. Okay? That's what we're going for here. So working on some palm muting, right? So we're going to strum that power chord and then cut it off. And downstrokes here. This is all downstrokes on palm muting on the low E string. We're sort of pedaling on the low E string. What's up, Kenneth? Good to see you. So what we're going to do, instead of just letting that go wide open, you take your karate chopper and you put it down by the saddles, okay, and just rest it there. And that dampens the string. This is called palm muting, right? Now, what you might have to do is, for every one of these power chord strums, you sort of have to lift your karate chopper off and do like an open strum, and then quickly put it back down to the so that the low string is dampened. Okay. So we've got clusters of 16th notes here. So they're groups of 4. So it's chord strum on the first beat, and then 3 muted strums on the low string. That's each cluster of 4 right there. Now the last one in the first bar, I'm going to move it down to a C chord. 3rd fret of the A, 5th fret of the D and G. But what's cool is I'm still going to play against that pedaling open E, okay? Is it easier on the electric than the acoustic to palm mute? Not necessarily, actually. You should be able to get on the electric and palm mute a little bit, okay? Certainly the palm muted sound is suited to a more crunchy kind of rock electric sound, but palm muting on the acoustic is still a technique that's used, and I wouldn't say that it's harder on the acoustic necessarily. Just rest your karate chopper down near the saddles. You know, it's sort of the same approach, same idea, right? Just see what you can do. Like if you notice when you just rest your karate chopper on that string near where near the saddle, it doesn't really, it just dampens the note. It doesn't choke it off. But as you move it, that's when it kind of chokes it off a little bit. So you want to make sure that you're sort of just on top of the bridge. Okay, and you can experiment with sort of moving it in a little bit. And that's on the electric usually, where you can actually come in a little bit and it'll still poke out if you've got like a distorted sound. Okay. Okay, second bar, we're going to the D power chord, 5th fret of the A, 7th fret of the D and G, and then just 3 clusters of 4 on that. And then coming down to the 2nd fret of the A, 4th fret of the D and G, just 1 cluster with the pedal there. Right? So just sort of a simple rock riff, right? You with me? We rocking. Even on the acoustic, I think we're rocking. Excellent, excellent. Okay. Switching gears to a little bit older Johnny Cash style country. We got to cover our bases here on the rhythm styles session, right? And I think we've done it sort of a similar exercise previously, but it's been a while. Okay. So again, that we've got some palm muting on this too, this one, and it's going to be across several strings, not just the lowest string. And still, you don't want to really press down. Okay, you just want to rest your hand lightly on there because you still want these notes to pop out, right? So we've got this exercise. Whoop. Okay, so that's definitely sort of the Johnny Cash thing, right? Alonzo, what's up? If we were to do it without palm muting, it would tend to be a little more unruly, right? You know, kind of like, especially with the low E. So we're playing off this open low E power chord. Okay, so I'm barring down at the 2nd fret of the A and D strings. The low open string open. And we're picking a down on the low string and then a down up on the octave, 2nd fret of the D string. And then grabbing the 5th of the chord, which is the B note, 2nd fret of the A string. 1 pick on that, and then back to the 2 picks on the octave. So you're alternating between the root and the 5th. So you can hear it. And in between, you're just doing the higher E note with a couple picks. little bit tricky because you got a string skip a little bit here. You've got the low string, and then you're going all the way up to the D string, and then back to the A string. Okay, a little bit challenging. Even more challenging when we move to sort of the B7 section at the third bar of this exercise, where we've got this shape. So we've got the second fret of the A string. We're really just playing sort of the lower part of what would be the open B7 chord, right? B dominant seventh, B7. It's like a sort of a Mel Bay chord that we all learn usually. When we first start playing guitar, we're just playing the lower notes. So what's cool is that we're still doing root fifth, because now I've got the root is on the fifth string, second fret, but the fifth is down a string on the same fret, which would be the F sharp note is the fifth, right? But my upper note is now the major third of a B7 chord. And then I'm going to open up the palm muting, second fret of the low string, and then just put a little bend on that and then back down. Got the idea there? Two chords, just an E and then a B7, and kind of going back and forth. You got that Johnny Cash thing. It's instant Johnny Cash, right? So a little bit challenging. Also just this finger movement right here on the B7. Okay, you got to move that middle finger from the A string to the low string and back and forth. You can keep your index finger on the first fret of the D string locked, right? Good? You with me so far? Hanging with me. All right. Exercise 5. Cheers, everybody. Exercise 5 is early rock strum. This has got a little bit of a twist to it. Sort of reminds me of, I guess, Runaway, the old Del Shannon song. Let me play through it and we'll talk about it a little bit. This is exercise 5. So. All right, that's the idea with exercise 5, and a little bit of a twist because we're basically playing root 6 bar chords, incorporating some strums with arpeggiation, but also we've got what's known as a brush strum or a rake almost, where we're strumming the lower part of the chord and then doing this sort of splay, sometimes called a chord splay or a brush stroke, where you're sort of taking a little bit of time with the strum. It's not an instantaneous strumming all 6 strings at the same time. You're kind of going from the low strings to the high string a little bit slower, right? Thank you, Rusty. Take care. Thanks for everything, man. And the tricky part is once you're up at the top, you have to come back right away with an upstroke on the top string. And you let that ring out for like a beat, and then some arpeggiations coming down. B string, G string, D string, okay? All right, so we start with A minor, root 6 bar chord. We're going to come down to G major, right? And it's going to be the same approach all the way through. We're just changing the chords, right? So we've switched to G major now. Move that same shape down to the first position, first fret. Okay, and then what I do is keep that same general shape and just move it down and pull my index finger off. And you've got an open E chord, right? It's exactly the same picks, right? So. Cool. You with me? All right. Continuing on. Exercise 6. We don't. By the way, I should just say that. Excuse me. The comments are open. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'll do my best to answer. Yes, Jim Gregory in the 50s style. Cool. All right. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Throw them in the comments. I will do my best to get to it and answer to the best I can. All right. Exercise 6, we're going to go to a blues shuffle and show you sort of a single note, sort of riffy approach to playing the blues. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out tonight. That's cool. All right. So, cool, man. So yeah, that's our blues rhythm, right? Any 5/4 rhythm exercises? Unfortunately, not in this lesson tonight, but Unique World, I hope you you join us in the next couple of weeks. I'll throw in a 5/4, okay? And we'll try something. For those of you just joining, we have tabs for tonight's session. You can expand the description below the video. And I'm just going through the tabs right now, and I usually do that every Friday. I've got sort of a set thing that I teach, but that's a great suggestion. Okay, so a 5/4 rhythm exercise. I will definitely try to work that in. Next week we usually alternate electric, acoustic. So probably 2 weeks from now, I will do a 5/4 rhythm example. Okay, rhythm exercise. So tune in for that, and thanks for the suggestion. So blues in A, and just sort of a typical using blending of the minor pentatonic, but mostly major pentatonic. Okay, and a very common move in the blues is to go from that minor third to the major third. In this case, off the A chord, right, or the A root. The third fret, the C note would be the minor third, and the C sharp would be the major third. Going to the 5th, 6th, major 6th, right here, by the way, and then the root. And this part is all major pentatonic. So messed it up. Okay, so that's the idea with that. Now, just like I think, I don't know if it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, we did a blues example in the tabs here, and it's not really tabbed out as a blues arrangement. It's just tabbed out as, okay, here's a bar of the 1 chord. Next to it, you can see a bar of the 4 chord. What would that look like if we're in a blues arrangement and we switch to a D chord? Okay, so how do we adjust it? Well, we go up to the D string. Whoop. Got to change it up even further because I can't just play exactly the same thing because we end up on the B string, which is tuned flat, as we all know. So we have to adjust for that. So I have to hit the 3rd fret to get that higher octave D note on the B string, right? So watch out for that. Okay, so that's how I would play it on the 4 chord or the D chord, right? And then eventually in a blues form, whether it be an 8 bar or 12 bar commonly, or any other type of blues form, we're going to go to the 5 chord, and that's going to be an E. The 5 in the key of A is E, right? So Luckily, we have open string again. And in this case, all the frets are the same as the A part of this riff, just down a string set, right? So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about the feel, because we've switched to a shuffle feel, okay? And that's where it says 6, exercise 6, blues rhythm, you see on top of that, 2 eighth notes equals a triplet kind of thing, right? And this means, you know, a swung eighths, basically. So instead of playing this equally in equal eighth notes, right, which would be straight time, okay, you want to delay that upstroke closer to the next downstroke. Okay, so that's what we're going for, is instead of straight time, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, we've got to bounce to it. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. All right, so let's play a 12-bar blues with this riff over those 3 chords, which I have tabbed out, and then I'm going to play the turnaround at the end of it and try not to mess it up. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do 4 bars, typical 12-bar blues, right? 4 bars of the 1 chord, 2 bars of the 4 chord, 2 bars of the 1 chord, 1 bar of 5, 1 bar of 4, and then the turnaround, okay? 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then you would just start over. So that's 12 bars, and we did the turnaround at the end, which is, right? So just sort of climbing up chromatically, starting on the A, going to the 4th fret, which would be the major 3rd, and then up to the open D string, just going up 1 fret at a time, basically, right? That would be the 5th fret if I stayed on here, but okay, up to the, and then up, finally up to the E note, and then grabbing this 3-note little cluster here infers F7, F dominant 7th, to E dominant 7th. Okay, if you think about that E chord, that full E7 chord with the D note in the 3rd fret of the B string. Okay, if I actually just grab the E note right there, but take those 2 notes, sort of just really got that E7 sound. If I move it up 1 fret, that gives me that classic sort of chromatic, okay? F to E, F7 to E7, okay? Thanks, Craig. Good day, good day. I did, yes. Unfortunately, yes. They're looking to get rid of the dreaded daylight savings, right? At least here, that's what I hear. So yes, you're tuning in late. I apologize, mate. All right, King 50. Good question here. If you don't mute the whole lick, is there anything you should do to minimize ringing the strings you've already played? Right. So yeah, you have to. Okay. I'm always trying to think of what are the ways that I can just, right? If I just play it where my hand is sort of open, you're going to get strings sympathetically ringing out, right? So, right. So one of the things that I'll firstly do is that next note on the D string, 2nd fret of the D, and we've talked about this before, I can position my fingers so that I'm getting a little bit of flesh on the A string, and it sort of knocks it out. It mutes it out, right? right? I've got a little bit of flesh on there, so it just deadened the string, right? Same thing when I go to the A up top here on the G string, right? I can also clamp down with this part of my, right? Right? I can kind of follow that down the strings to mute the strings. So this is sort of the sort of thing you need to be thinking about to really, find out what works for you. Okay. Because yes, we want these notes to be nice and clean. So, right, it could be a combination, right? I kind of move my hand down to kind of just rest on the A string a little bit. I've also got a little bit of flesh from that note fretting on the D string that mutes out that A string. Okay. So yeah, look at, being intentional about it is really good. Like asking that question and knowing, hey, how do I get these strings, right? The other thing you can do is you sort of mentioned, if you don't mute the whole lick, which I didn't do in the case of this tab, right? We can play this with palm muting if that's the vibe you want to go for, right? Right? And just sort of lock down the karate chopper by the saddles. It's got its own sound, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just kind of whatever you choose to do musically. All right. Blues rhythm. Are we good? Cool. All righty. Hip hop riff a la Eminem. It's kind of a mouthful, right? I thought it'd be fun to kind of do this. I was looking for sort of like hip hop classic songs that had some guitar in it. I thought, this has got a little bit of tricky technique to it. So why not, right? It's only 2 chords, but you can always learn something from other genres of music, right? So this is sort of just a little bit of a tricky thing at the end of it, right? Right before the repeat, I'm going to go a little bit slower. Okay. Hey Bulldog. Yeah, maybe. I'm not familiar with that one, but if that's an actual sample, right, then maybe it's a sample. I have no idea. Didn't look into the history of the song. Maybe no one played it. It came off another record, right? Probably did. That's the hip hop way, right? Same progression, right? Unique world. Is it okay to keep practicing while my arm muscle is burning until the exercise is over? I would probably not do that if it gets to the point of pain. Okay. If you are practicing to the point of pain, you need to stop. Okay. A little bit of burning depends, but any discomfort, I would stop immediately. Okay. So just do as much as you can to the point of, okay, this is starting to feel uncomfortable, and then boom, give yourself a rest. That would be my advice. Okay. Hopefully that goes okay. Of course, Richard, everything comes back to the Beatles, right? They did it all first. Absolutely. Okay. So we just got a D power chord, right? 5th fret of the A, 7th fret of the D. Downstrokes. And what I'm doing is as soon as I pick or as soon as I strum that chord, I'm lifting off the frets, but not the strings. So it comes back to that muting technique we were talking about before, where I can cut off a fretted chord just by lifting my fingers off the frets. So just releasing the pressure, but still holding the string so that you can get back to it quickly, right? Okay. So if you actually look at the notation above the tab, you'll see the little dot underneath each note. And that's meant to tell you it's staccato, right? So we're lifting off the chord quickly, like that. Okay. So that whole first bar is basically a D power chord, okay? Next, we're just moving that fifth up. And what this does is it sort of outlines a B flat chord, okay, with the major third in the bass. We're not playing the whole chord, we're just playing the lowest two notes there, but if you can imagine a B flat chord, okay, and if I have the upper part of that, but I'm putting the major third in the bass, that's kind of what it's suggesting. So really what's happening is in that first bar, even though it's just a D power chord, D5, it's really D minor, because in the key of D minor, the flat 6 chord is B flat, okay? So really, if you're going to strum this, not like the riff, but just strum along to this Eminem song, you could do it like this. Okay? But the way that you're playing these two dyads, as they're called, or double stops, okay? So when we get to that second bar, it's just moving up one fret on the D string. And those last two 16th notes, you're going to do a down up. Okay, so quickly you want to bar down on the 5th fret of the A and the D string. And the other thing that's interesting about that song when I listen to it is that the strumming is not all at the same level. It tends to kind of swell in and out, and it kind of peak on the backbeat again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And on those 2s and 4s, they're really exaggerated, really dig into those strums. So you can make, you can be on the same chord, strumming the same chord, but make a really cool textural dynamic thing that really adds to the music, right? Okay. I thought it was cool. All right. And you actually hear that kind of progression in a lot of sort of rock music. A lot of hard rock, especially, uses a lot of that kind of tension, that kind of idea on the power chord, just kind of expanding on the power chord. All right. Appreciate that. Unique. Yeah, I've learned so many things. Excellent. Excellent. Glad to hear it. All right. Exercise 8. Jazz groove a la Stormy Monday. So we're going to start with an A7 chord. And again, we were earlier in this hour, we were talking about the A major 7, which is sort of roughly the same shape, but you have to rearrange your fingers to get the A dominant 7. The same idea here. This is sort of a jazz voicing of an A7. Normally, the Beatles would be like this, right, Richard? Kind of or you'd have the full bar chord without the pinky, right? But the jazz sort of way to do it is just to not use the top string or the A string, okay? And you've got to kind of get those fingers across. Another thing you can do if you're really tricky is bar down, right, with your middle finger and add that other one. That's tough to do, but okay. We got some more mutes in this, so it goes. I think I'm using Plucks for this. There we go. That's what I'm going to do for this. So we're back to the Plucks, okay? Thumb on the low string. I've got index, middle, ring on the D, G, and B strings here. And that's going to change around a little bit just because the root notes are going to switch between the A string and, the E string and the A string. So what I'm doing is actually a mute, just like sort of with my hand against the strings there. That's what we're going for. Root with your thumb, pluck, and then a mute. And then we do it again. Root, pluck, and let it ring out for the rest of the bar. Okay. So our first chord is that A7, A dominant seventh. That's sort of the jazz voicing. Okay. We're going to go to a D9 now. So that's 5th fret of the A, 4th fret of the D, 5th fret of the G and B. Now I've got my thumb on the A string, plucking on the D, G, and B string. Exact same plucking pattern, right? So going from the first one. Okay, that's the 4 chord. Back to the A7. And then in that 4th bar, I'm going to flatten my pinky down. Ooh, tense chord. I like to sharpen the 5 on the A dominant 7th, right? I'm going to bar down. 6th fret of the B string, okay? That really wants to go somewhere. Excuse me. So then we're going to go, excuse me, to the D9. Right? That's the next one. And then a D sharp diminished 7th. So we've got your middle finger at the 6th fret of the A string. Going to grab a ring finger on the 7th fret of the D, index on the 5th fret of the G, and then your pinky on the 7th fret of the B. Diminished 7th, okay? Coming up from the D9, chromatically, okay? And then back to the A7. This time, no mute, so we're going to hold it out because we've got some quicker chord changes here. A7, B minor 7. We saw the minor 7th chord earlier, right? In exercise 2, I think it was. So you can just get the root with one finger, 7th fret of the low string, and then bar down on the D, G, and B, 7th fret. We're going to move that up 2 more frets to C sharp minor 7. And then back down 1 fret to C minor 7. And then back down to B minor 7. And we're back to our sort of pluck mute pattern. E9. Same as the D9, but up 2 frets. Okay? Same plucking pattern. And then again, some fast chords to kind of end it off. So back to A7. D9, A7, E9. So after all that, hopefully, we're going to play through it, right? Here we go. All right, so only one little clunker in there for you. So a fun one. I usually end off with some sort of jazz thing, but you know, it might be above some of you, but you can always take away something from these things, okay? If you spend a little time with some of these chord shapes, you might surprise yourself with you know, how attainable they are to at least mess around with. You might not be able to play through this entire exercise as I just did without making a mistake, but definitely pick up some bits and pieces, experiment with it, Okay. Try these chord shapes in other keys, and hopefully you'll find it a little bit inspired to practice over the next week, right? Super appreciate everybody engaging. Great questions tonight. Thanks so much for hanging out. As always, I appreciate everybody who tune in each and every week, and all of you joining. Maybe it's been the first time in a while, Richard, or for the first time ever. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that you'll come back, check out the channel. Everything's archived on there. Lots of content from Guitar Tricks. And of course, we're here every Friday, same time. All right. Thanks so much, Richard. Great to see you, my friend, as always. Igor, thank you. Thank you. Steve in New Hampshire. All right. Thanks so much. Jim Gregory, thank you. Jeff Steen, go for it, man. Don't be scared off by it. It's all good. King 50, fun lesson. All right, excellent. We'll see you next week. James, thank you. Danny, great lessons. Have a great weekend. Back at you for sure. Second year with Guitar Tricks. Congrats. Great job, Danny. I love it. Excellent. Zane, thank you so much. HH, I'm sorry. Thanks so much as always. John, thank you. Good weekend back at you. MA, thank you. Arthur, thank you as always. Andy. Excellent. Alonzo, thanks so much. Everybody, take care. Hope you have a great weekend and a great week. And we'll see you next week back on the acoustic. I think it's an acoustic workout next week. Cheers, everybody. Take care. Thank you. We'll see you. See you.